Welcome back to the CEO Shift Show, the podcast for service-based business owners who are ready to stop running their business like a job and start scaling it like an asset. I'm your host, Carol Surbey, and today we're diving into one of the most practical but overlooked topics in small business: how to design roles that deliver results. So here's the shift that we want to talk about today. A job description is the foundation. It defines the role. A scorecard adds accountability. It defines success. And your org chart, it creates clarity and communication and defines flow. When you bring these three things together, you create a business where employees don't just help out, they take ownership and actually move the business forward. So I'd like you to stop and reflect. What would change in your day-to-day if every person on your team knew exactly what their role was, how they'd be measured, and how to hand off work without dropping the ball? That's what today's episode is all about. Let's start with job descriptions. I know some of you groaned just hearing that. Maybe you've copied one from the internet, used ChatGPT. Maybe you've been told they're too corporate for small business. Or maybe you don't know how to create one, so you've just avoided them altogether. But here's the truth, especially in the brick and mortar business, job descriptions are a non-negotiable. They do a couple of things for you. First of all, they protect you legally. Labor boards and insurance often requires them. They help to set boundaries. Employees know what is in their lane and what isn't. And 3, they provide clarity. You're not winging it when you hire. Think of a job description as a blueprint of a house. Without the blueprint, walls end up in the wrong place. Without a job description, roles overlap, tasks get missed, and employees, they can actually feel lost. Let's look at the example of a bakery. A front counter associate's job description might say something like customer service associate, who reports to the store manager. And the responsibilities are to greet customers, take orders, handle cash, and maintain a clean counter. That probably sounds a lot like the job description that you've created. This is the foundation. It's clear, simple, necessary. But here's the problem. If you stop here, you've only defined the tasks, not the results. And that's why an employee can look busy, but the busyness doesn't actually move the business forward. Busy does not equal productive. Repeat that with me. Busy does not equal productive. A strong business doesn't just hire people to do tasks. They hire people to deliver outcomes. Let's go back to that same bakery associate. So we have defined that a task for them is to take customer order, whereas an outcome would be maintain 98% order accuracy each week. A task might be to handle cash, but the outcome would be less than a 0.5% cash handling error at the end of every month. And a task might be greet customers, whereas an outcome might say 95% of surveys rated our bakery as excellent. That's not just activity, that's accountability in motion. And here's why this matters. Employees are now empowered to take ownership. You, as the CEO, can stop micromanaging, and the business becomes more predictable and more scalable. Let's just look at a couple of examples from a few other industries. Construction labor. Instead of the task of assist on site, let's look at the outcome of, say, 0 safety violations and daily tasks completed on schedule. How about an auto repair shop for the service advisor? Instead of the task of scheduling repairs, the outcome is maintain average review score of 4.5 stars or better. And when it comes to, say, a medical office receptionist, instead of identifying the task as process intake, identify the outcome as complete intakes in under 5 minutes with 98% accuracy. Can you see the shift? It is no longer stay busy, it's drive results. So how do you actually measure those outcomes? This is where a scorecard comes in. Think of the scorecard as a one-page agreement between you and your employee. It answers, what are the 3 to 5 key outcomes? How are we going to measure them? And how often will we review them? And here's where a lot of CEOs freeze. They don't know how to track it. So, you know me, I give away all the secrets. Let's break that down. First of all, we have to define the metric. Ask yourself, what number or evidence tells me that this outcome is actually happening? So, looking again at the bakery associate, their outcome was a 98% order accuracy. So, what we do is that we track the number of order errors per week. The auto shop service advisor, invoice created same day, we track the percentage of invoices created within 24 hours. And for the construction labor, 0 safety violations, we track the number of incidences logged per quarter. We have to decide how to actually capture that data. You might not realize it, but many systems already capture this data. You're just not using the data in a way that's helpful to you. A lot of you already have a point of sale system, a scheduling software, a client relation manager or CRM. And a lot of those systems already capture this data. If it's not, create a simple manual system where the foreman checks off the safety inspection daily, or a receptionist logs the average intake time on a clipboard. We want to really make sure we keep this simple. If we're looking at tracking it manually on a spreadsheet, 1 key performance indicator per outcome, 1 row per week per project. This could be a spreadsheet or even a whiteboard in the office. Overcomplicate it, and no one's going to use it. And then step 4, we want to make sure that we're reviewing this information regularly. We have already determined that it's important. We have already empowered accountability for our team. We already have the system set up to track it. Why wouldn't you review it? We can review it weekly in a team huddle. Let's check the progress. We can review it monthly in a manager's check-in. Where are we spotting trends? And we can review it regularly in one of our quarterly reviews, where we can celebrate wins and address the gaps. The scorecard is only powerful if you actually look at it. So I'd like to know, what would change instead of wondering how your employees are doing? You could glance at a one-page scorecard and know instantly whether the role is winning. That's the power of tracking. Now let's zoom out, because there's one more layer that ties all of this together, and that's your flow layer. Your job descriptions tell people what to do. Your scorecard measures if they're doing it, but your org chart defines how their work connects. And here's the truth. Most business breakdowns don't happen because of bad employees. They happen in the handoffs. So think about it. In a construction company, the project manager finishes a job, but he doesn't notify the admin. Invoice is delayed, and our cash flow suffers. In a medical office, if the reception finishes a patient intake, but doesn't pass the info to billing, insurance claims stall and revenue will slow. At the bakery, counter staff can take a custom cake order, but if they don't notify production, the cake isn't ready, the customer is disappointed. It's not incompetence, it's poor communication flow. So how do you fix that? Let's look at our org chart. Let's look at our job description and map the dependencies. So the question you would ask yourself is, when this role finishes, who needs to know next? And the example is from the project manager. He or she now needs to let the admin know. And the admin might be the one that generates the invoice, or the admin might need to pass along the information to the bookkeeper. And once the invoice is generated, a copy of it now goes to the owner. Next, we need to define the channels. This is the how the handoff happens. Are we doing this via email, via Slack, through our point of sales system? Do we have a binder, a face-to-face check-in? In the example of the auto shop, a service advisor could very simply flag a job complete in the CRM, and that would instantly notify the billing department. That's the way some of these systems are designed to work. You map the steps, and then the steps now are mapped automatically. We want to make sure our map is consistent. We want to standardize it. It's not sometimes this, sometimes that. In our bakery, the counter staff always places a custom order slip in the production binder within 10 minutes. That's our rule. That's how we do business. And then, as always, check for gaps. Review your org chart and ask yourself, where is information always falling through the cracks? Those are the handoffs that you need to tighten. And remember, your org chart isn't about hierarchy. It's about designing communication pathways. So I'm curious, how many of your headaches, missed invoices, rework, unhappy customers are actually communication issues and not necessarily employee issues? When you fix the flow, you protect the profit, you strengthen your team, and you build customer trust. So how do we put this into practice? Let's talk about action. And here's the 3-step process that you can apply right away. Write or update the job descriptions. Keep it simple. We want to know the title, we want to know who the manager is, and we want to know the core responsibilities. Add in the scorecard. Choose the 3 to 5 outcomes. Decide how you're going to track them. And put them in your calendar so they get reviewed on a regular rhythm. Place the role into your org chart. Define the reporting lines. Map the communication handoffs. Standardize that process. It's clarity on every single level. Here's the shift that I want you to walk away with. Delegation isn't just about taking tasks off your plate. It's about creating clarity at 3 levels. Job descriptions, where we define the role. Scorecards, where we measure success. And org chart and flow, connect all that work together. When those 3 are in place, you stop babysitting. You stop firefighting, and finally give yourself the space to step into the CEO role? What would it feel like to know that your business no longer depends on you remembering every detail, catching every mistake, or chasing every handoff? That is when your business becomes an asset, not a job. Here's your action steps this week. Pick one role in your business. Write the job description. Define the measurable outcomes and how you're going to track them. And place it clearly on your org chart and tighten that communication flow. One role, and you're going to feel the difference right away. And if you want to go deeper, this is exactly the work we do inside the Scalable CEO Academy. I'll help you install hiring and delegation systems that bring clarity, accountability, and flow to your business so you can scale without chaos. Head to the scalablecEOacademy.com to join us. And if this episode gave you clarity, please subscribe, share it with another business owner, and leave a review. It helps more service-based CEOs step into their roles with confidence. And remember, your business should serve your life, not control it. And that starts with building roles that deliver results. Until next time, keep making the shift.